I have a certain fondness for modern takes on old devices. AYn is a handheld manufacturer that really likes to make devices that look like older handhelds, right? They do a pretty good job at it. They work pretty well and they mimic the like actual feeling of old devices pretty well depending on which device you got. I've made videos on the past about AYn and all of their devices that I have. If you want, you can go check that out, but you don't have to. But anyway, stuff like CD players are coming back in different form factors, which is sort of interesting. But today I kind of want to talk about two devices specifically. The Innioasis, ooh, look at that. The Innioasis Y1. Mine is hella scratched up, but that's okay. This is pretty much an iPod dupe, and it's probably the closest iPod dupe we have ever seen, down to the click wheel working exactly like the original iPod. I feel like a lot of MP3 players don't have that, but we're gonna get into it. And the AYn Thor, this is a device that I've been talking about a lot recently. I have a lot of videos going more into detail about this too if you're interested, but we're going to talk about both of these today because I think they're pretty interesting and cool. I did originally make a video just about the Innioasis Y1, but I didn't really like it and it was super short. So we're gonna kind of go over things that I was going to originally talk about when I was reviewing this device, and we're going to talk about some new things that have come up since I've got it. First of all, the build quality on this is honestly pretty nice. Innioasis is not some big brand, right? They've definitely been making a name for themselves because of the MP3 player. It runs Android, no problem there, really. I mean, the way that it's set up, like you can barely tell it's Android unless you like recognize Android noises. The build quality, the screen is pretty decent. I really like the screen on this. But something that I appreciate that Innioasis also does is they offer these in a lot of colors, and they are still pumping out new colors left and right. After I bought this, they revealed some new pink color that's like super cute. I think that's awesome. Originally, I just wanted it in silver to match my iPod Classic that I actually do use, but I opted for this very vibrant blue because I just thought, I thought this was cute. And there's not a lot of vibrant tech nowadays. I feel like we need more fun colors in our life. I mean, I am a victim of the orange new iPhone. Mine has stickers all over it because I thought that trend was super cute. I don't know, I just feel like we need more fun colors, right? More things about the build quality. I mean, the buttons feel pretty nice to click. It is very important for an MP3 player to have buttons that I like clicking. That's awesome. It also has a built-in speaker, and I feel like a lot of people don't really talk about that. It's definitely just okay. But the fact that it has a built-in speaker at all is pretty neat for an MP3 player. I feel like we don't really see that a lot. Of course, it has a headphone jack, but as all modern MP3 players mostly have, actually not all, I don't know for sure, is it does have Bluetooth. The Bluetooth is pretty responsive. I haven't had a ton of problems with it. I have seen some people say that if you like have it in certain angles in your pocket, like it doesn't really detect it. But personally, I feel like if you're using an MP3 player, it's just super cool to use wired earbuds, especially if you are using it for the sake of it looking cool. Like, you gotta complete the vibe. But I also just prefer wired earbuds. And of course, USB-C. Look at that. USB-C is definitely like an essential now. I feel it is one less wire that you need to carry in your car, and that's just kind of neat, I think. Compared to an actual iPod, I mean, this thing is a lot lighter. It doesn't need a big old hard drive in it. It's a lot thinner. It's sort of similar to an iPod Nano in its thinness, but it's a lot closer to an iPod Classic in like its wideness. I think it's pretty cool. When it comes to music, how much easier is it than an actual iPod is the question. It is basically your regular MP3 player. I mean, I sort of expected it to be a little more annoying as someone that does actively use an iPod. I mean, it's very easy to just plug it into a Mac, right? And it automatically takes all of your like iTunes purchases or just whatever's in your iTunes library, and it just throws it in there. Very easy, be very quick and straight to the point. However, if you are like me and you actually still buy music, it is actually really simple to just drag and drop your files. I mean, that's kind of how any MP3 player is. I mean, every MP3 player is drag and drop, right? It is that easy. But if you're like me and you do actively use iTunes, then it is really nice to just click the album you want, drag it in there, and it just works. I feel like if you are one of those people that did use an iPod or do use an iPod, or you know, you just want like a transition, like that's a really nice thing to do. Very basic MP3 player stuff. The music experience though is also pretty good. I mean, I feel like if you have high quality enough MP3 files or just music files in general, then it's going to sound pretty good. It also depends on your earbuds, where you got your files, stuff like that. Most of my music comes directly from iTunes, so my files sound good. I'm a big fan of Apple wired earbuds. IMO, they are the nicest sounding wired earbuds you can get for a pretty decent price. There have been times where I have tried more expensive earbuds and they just don't sound as good as Apple earbuds. That's my opinion though, and that's not including headphones or anything. But honestly, it sounds good to me. I have a lot of CDs as well that like I transferred onto here from my laptop. They all sound pretty good. I haven't had any quality issues so far, so that's awesome. The UI is really good. I mean, it is identical to an actual iPod. It is very similar. It is very familiar. So if you have used an iPod before and you're like thinking about this one, you're going to remember how to use it pretty much. It is very easy to understand. Overall, this is just a really interesting alternative to the iPod. Your listening experience is going to be basically the same. I mean, everything that is truly different is very much like personal preferences, or I'm just like a little nitpicky. So let's get into that, because one of the cons I have is you can't skip music while it's off. See, on an actual iPod Classic, you have a lock button on the top. If you don't know, you basically lock it and you can put it in your pocket, and if you click any of the buttons on accident, it will not skip anything, it won't turn on, it won't do anything. But of course, you can unlock it and skip your song, or if you have some of the later classics, you can just use your wired Apple earbuds. Or if you have some of the later classics, you can use your earbuds to skip the song, so you don't even have to reach into your pocket and you don't have to unlock it, and that's just pretty convenient. This one, however, you do have to click and hold the middle to turn it on, and then skip the song. When it turns back on, wait for it to turn back off so you don't accidentally scroll and then put it back in your pocket. Nitpicky, but not a deal breaker. There's also no bass booster, which I think is really interesting in an era where bass boost is really popular. I think that's a little interesting. Another nitpicky thing I have just for physical media purposes is it doesn't have, this is so nitpicky, is it doesn't have a cover flow. A cover flow is when your iPod shows all of your album covers and you can just scroll on by and enjoy. It sort of mimics looking through your CDs, looking through your vinyls. Personally, this is my method of picking music on my iPod, but again, that's such a nitpicky thing. It's so nitpicky. Some fun things about the Innioasis though is you can have custom themes. Custom themes are super easy to install. Me personally, I'm still a fan of the ones that make it look like the classic iPod. They had this pink one, which I thought was really cute, but there is a theme website. You can plug in your Innioasis to your computer and then just give it the path, and then it automatically just does it. Like you can just click on a theme, it automatically puts it into your MP3 player. I think that's super cool. This one is sort of interesting, but it does have FM radio, but only if you have the earbuds that support it. The Innioasis did come with earbuds. The earbuds were really mid, but it did have an antenna to listen to FM radio. Apple earbuds do not have that, but honestly, I'm not really listening to the radio like that. And the earbuds were really just okay, so I'm perfectly fine just not using those. Overall, in comparison to an actual iPod, it is really good at mimicking the feeling that you get from an iPod. It definitely feels like a very regular step up to an iPod. Giving it Bluetooth, themes is super cute. And overall, like even the speaker, even having a built-in speaker is really cute. out. With the way iPods are nowadays, you can honestly get an Innioasis or an iPod for similar prices. Sometimes you can even get the Innioasis for cheaper. It just depends what iPod you're actually looking for. My own personal things that I do like about my iPod Classic, and kind of just why I still use it over the Innioasis despite having an Innioasis, is I do really like the aluminum casing on these. But low-key, I wouldn't be surprised if sometime in the future, because of how popular the Innioasis is, that people end up making like aluminum cases for it. Like, that would be super cool. I got lucky and my iPod is still in really good condition, so there's like no scratches on the back. But yeah, I'm a big fan of the aluminum casing. My click wheel still works. Sometimes it's a little unresponsive, probably just because of age. But if I'm being real with you, the only reason that I use it over the Innioasis is just because I use iTunes and it automatically syncs all the music. So I don't have to go in and drag and drop. And so many people don't use iTunes nowadays that this is just not a problem for anybody. The average person is going to hear this and be like, well, that's not a problem I'm gonna have. So clearly I'm gonna take the Innioasis, which is perfectly fine. I mean, you totally should. The Innioasis is really cool. Also, little things about the Innioasis, you know, like the USB-C, it's thinner, it's lighter, you can customize it. It's just a really cool alternative. Me personally though, I'm still using an iPod, but you know, whatever. If you play games, edit, or just work for hours like I do, you already know how annoying it is to be sitting all day, especially if your desk's height just isn't suitable. I've honestly been looking for an upgrade, not only for my back, but for my sanity, and that's where the FlexiSpot E7 standing desk lifts my spirits. I can go from sitting to standing to the desk even getting so tall. I'm using it as a tripod right now to record this video. I also have neighbors below me, so I'm really glad that it's quiet and it doesn't shake around when I'm moving it up and down. With a steel frame, dual motors, and the ability to hold up to 355 pounds, this desk is standing on business. It also has memory presets as well, which means it remembers the perfect height for when my short self is just standing and when my short self is ready to record a video. Oh, it's going down. Just that easy. Most desks that are fixed in place are actually built for people between 5'5" and 5'9", which is not me at all. It takes a lot of adjusting to really get comfortable in a regular old desk, but the FlexiSpot desk can go so low or high that I can always find the perfect height. My old desk was just a built-in desk in my apartment, and it wasn't near the window, so I wasn't getting any sunlight or anything. It was just not really ideal for me. So I'm very grateful to now have such a well-built desk that I can move around and I can stand while recording my videos because it's good enough to be a tripod. Overall, these videos are just going to be a lot more interesting from here on out. So if you've been wanting an upgrade or you just really want a new desk in general, I highly recommend the FlexiSpot E7. And if you're looking for something a little bit bigger, they also have L-shaped desks, which I think is really cool. All of this will be linked in the description. Here is my discount code. If you're interested, get yourself a cozy little discount on your purchase. Thank you so much to FlexiSpot for sponsoring this video, our very first sponsor. Yay! I'm super grateful for this partnership, but let's continue with the video. Another device that I want to talk about today is, of course, the AYn Thor. I've already made a couple videos on the AYn Thor, but if you are unaware, no, this is not a DS or a 3DS. This is a super powerful Android device that has two screens. It's like a perfect in-between of a regular 3DS and a 3DS XL. Personally, I love mine to death. I've already talked about this so much, but the AYn Thor, mine has a custom front end, which is basically just a way to launch all my apps, make it look pretty, give it a more like console experience. So mine looks very much like a 3DS. It has all the modern buttons. It's super fun. It can even run PC games, which makes it like the perfect alternative to a Steam Deck, depending on what games you're playing, and I just think that is super cool. It can even play Switch games if you're into that. I mean, not everyone is into that. And since it's on Android, it can run pretty much any app. I mean, mine has freaking YouTube, it has Disney Plus, it has Netflix, everything I need. I like to run a lot of GameCube and PS2 on this thing. Of course, 3DS and DS games are a must, and certain mobile games as well I really like running on here. In terms of build quality, the AYn Thor is super nice. This thing feels super premium. I mean, to be fair, it's a really expensive device. I know there was a price increase recently. I got mine before the price increase, so it's only more expensive, but it feels like it was a couple $100 $500, that's for sure. Overall, I am a huge fan of this, especially with the new front ends. It really resembles having a 3DS pretty much. What I love about it, I mean, just a TLDR of my other videos, is it perfectly captures that portability of the 3DS and DS consoles. It is the perfect form factor. With a lot of handhelds we've gotten, like the Steam Deck, the Rogue Ally, the Legion Go, they're all very big. They're portable, but in the sense you can go from like your couch to your bedroom with it. The AYn Thor can run light Steam games kind of like the Steam Deck, but it's portable enough to go in my small bag and not like my massive tote bag. I can throw it in my pocket and be just fine. Like, when it comes to 3DS games against a 3DS, I mean, it's really personal preference because the AYn Thor can run 3DS games natively at a higher resolution on bigger screens. It's very much personal because if you're playing on a 3DS, you get like that authentic feeling. This is how it was meant to be played. This is the nostalgic way to play it. This is the definitive way to play 3DS games, you know. But on the AYn Thor, it looks better, it's brighter, you're playing it on new hardware. Like, it's just personal, really. And so is the MP3 player. It's all just personal preference. With the Cocoon launcher, it is so nice just seeing like how close this thing can get to feeling like a handheld and not just a Android device that can play games, you know? I feel like a lot of retro handhelds are just like, oh, this is just a device that looks like it can play games, and it can play games. This one is like, this is a console, you know what I mean? It really just depends how you set it up though. Little features that I love about it, it has a headphone jack. We needed this. The speakers are so good. I mean, the speakers are like a million times better than the 3DS, but you know, personal preference. Overall, just its build quality is so good. I love the AYn Thor. Comparing it to the 3DS, I mean, again, like I said, if you have a launcher that's similar to a 3DS, you're going to get a very similar experience. Just like how the Innioasis has a very similar layout to the iPod, just very modernized for modern times. And you can get custom themes for it. It's all just very pretty. I love it so much. At the end of the day, these are both very interesting devices for different audiences that play on different nostalgia that you might have. Stuff like the AYn Thor and the Innioasis Y1. It's very much like a personal preference if you will actually want a device like this, but they are pretty faithful feeling versions of older devices, and I feel like there are pretty good modern takes on it. In the end, you can listen to music how you want, you can play games how you want. But I thought it would just be fun to look at these devices and really think like, how do these actually differentiate from the things they are clearly inspired by, and like what's going on with that. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. This was just a little bit of a rant video. Not a ton going through my brain today. If you were drawing while listening to this video, I hope your drawing turned out fantastic. If you were eating, I hope your meal was great. And if you were doing chores, I hope you got your chores done. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you so much for 20,000 subscribers. That is a huge milestone for me. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!